Michael, what are you doing here?
Babe, who is this asshole?
Oh, God.
Listen to this exciting story. Sit back and relax. Also, don't let infidelity infiltrate your relationship. Subscribe to the channel to know everything about true, lasting love.
I stopped just inside the door to allow my eyes to adjust to the dim lighting. It strikes me as strange that I'd never noticed how dimly lit this place was. Then it dawned on me that I'd never been there while it was still daylight. For me, this was the kind of bar you visited late in the evening, the kind of bar where a guy could find a lady who had given up her search for Mr. Right and would settle for Mr. Right now. I looked around the nearly empty bar and decided to take a seat at the far end of the L-shaped bar. I liked the seat because it allowed me to see the entire room. I also liked that it was near the ladies' room, which afforded me a little better look at the ladies as they passed by. As I gazed around the room, I had to marvel at how little it had changed in the last 15 years. I chuckled softly at the heavily framed dogs playing poker print that still hung below the old classroom clock above a shelf of booze behind the bar. I ordered a burger and fries and a tall draft. The beer was ice cold and the burger was not quite as good as I remembered them being. I ate and watched as people began to filter in. I had arrived at 7:30 and it was now almost 8:30 and the bar was half full. I was in no hurry and the bartender quickly figured that out. Some old-timer sat next to me and it didn't take him long to start telling me his life story. I bought him another beer and nodded as he told his tale. When he wound down, I patted his shoulder and bought him another beer. I glanced around and realized the bar was packed. The DJ played his first song, so I knew it was 9:30. Still a bit too early for her, so I asked the old guy to save my seat while I visited the head. When I returned, he was telling a young man the seat was occupied, but the youngster didn't seem to want to listen. "Thanks for saving my seat and looking after my things," I said loudly and slapped the old guy on the back.
But this was not the main thing that awaited our hero. All the most interesting things were ahead.
I then gave the kid the stink eye. He looked me up and down and then looked to his two buddies for support. They took a half step back and the kid knew he was on his own, so he stood up and mumbled,
"Sorry."
I smiled at him and sat down. I lifted my chin to the bartender who had watched the exchange and he brought 2 more beers. He searched my face as I smiled at him, and I could read his unspoken warning that he was going to keep an eye on me. That's okay, I thought. I'm used to that look. I guess I have what my mother would say is a tough look. I'm not huge, but at 5'11" and 220 pounds, I'm no runt. I'd done a little boxing and had a few scars around my eyes, but never had my nose broken. I don't go looking for trouble, but it has sought me out once or twice. My new friend decided he'd had enough and said his goodbyes. I was kind of sorry to see him go. I actually enjoyed his stories. After he left, I raised a bit on my stool and looked at the tables along the far wall. Yep, she was there with one of her girlfriends. I watched them for a good while and watched the guys approaching their table. She danced with the same much younger guy 2 or 3 times before he escorted her to an empty table. Her friend brought over her purse and bent down while she whispered in her ear. I assume she explained her plan to stay with the young man because the other lady went back to her table, gathered up her stuff, and was escorted out by 2 guys.
Things were moving very fast, and Michael was waiting for his opportunity.
My target and her friend were getting very cozy, sharing whispers and a few kisses. I saw his hand slide under the table, and she stroked his hair just above his right ear. I chuckled. That was her signature move. I could almost feel her dainty hand and sharp nails pushing through my hair. That simple gesture gave such promises and encouragement. I'm sure the young stud was hard as a rock. They were seriously swapping spit now, and her face told me his hand had found its target. I saw the dim light from the small candle on the table reflecting off the large diamond on her left hand as she stroked her young suitor's face. I hit send on my phone to forward the photos I had snapped, then waved my card at the bartender. I signed my tab, left a nice tip, and stood up. My job was done. I should have just walked out, but instead I walked to her table. My phone was tucked into my breast pocket as I videoed the loving couple. It took a moment or two for him to realize an interloper had approached his table. Without withdrawing his hand from under her skirt, he turned to me.
What do you want?
I paused, waiting. Slowly, Joan opened her eyes and looked first at her boy toy, and then, realizing he had spoken to someone else, she turned to me. It was almost comical to see the recognition slowly dawning on her face. She blinked several times as her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. She pushed the young stud away and leaned back in her chair.
Michael, what are you doing here?
I smiled. She had always been pretty quick to figure things out.
No, please, Michael. You can't. Please, Michael. I'm begging you.
I laughed. It's already done. Jesus, Joan, how can you be so stupid, using this place? My God, did you think Tony would not find out? I warned him about you. Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Babe, who is this asshole?
I shot a hand out and grabbed a fistful of the kid's slicked back hair and slowly forced his face into the table. That's twice you've called me an asshole. Now just be a good boy and shut your yap while the grown-ups are talking. I growled at him.
Michael, please, baby. I didn't do anything.
Funny, that's exactly what you said to me when I caught you here 15 years ago. You were my cheating girlfriend then, and now you're Tony's cheating girlfriend. With me, you just got divorce papers. What do you think Tony and his friends will send you? Her hand flew up to her red-painted lips.
Oh, God.
She looked up at me with terror in her eyes. I leaned down toward her trembling face. Run. I straightened, let go of the dipshit, turned and walked out, laughing all the way to my car. Yep, some things and some people never change.
Dear friends, this story should be an example for you of how to keep your heart unbroken. What would you do in the place of the main character? I am interested in your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.